My girlfriend asked me to be transparent about my female friends, so I became completely transparent. Mira and I had been dating for 8 months when she brought it up over dinner. She was scrolling through my Instagram, casually at first, then with increasing tension in her jaw. I was halfway through my pasta when I noticed her thumb had stopped moving. She was staring at something on the screen with the kind of intensity usually reserved for crime scene investigations. "Who's this?" she asked, turning the phone toward me. The photo showed me and my coworker Devin at a work happy hour from 2 weeks ago. We were both laughing, holding beers, standing in a group of about 8 other coworkers. "Devin from accounting," I said. "We grab drinks sometimes after inventory closes." Mira's fork clinked against her plate. "Sometimes?" "Yeah, like once a month. The whole team goes." "She's cool." The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Mira set down her phone very deliberately, the way you'd set down a weapon before a duel. "I need you to be transparent with me about your female friends." "I am transparent," I said, genuinely confused. "I literally just told you who she is and why we were together." "No," she said. "I mean completely transparent. I need to know when you're with them, what you're doing, who reaches out first. Everything." I should have recognized the red flags, the tightness in her voice, the way her eyes kept darting back to the photo like it contained hidden messages. But I was young and stupid and thought if I just proved I had nothing to hide, everything would be fine. "Sure," I said. "Total transparency. No problem." That was my first mistake. The next day, I created a shared calendar. Every time I planned to see a female friend, colleague, or even just grabbed coffee with my sister, I logged it. Time, location, expected duration, and purpose. I color-coded it. Work events in blue, family in green, friends in yellow. Monday, 2 p.m., coffee with my sister, discussing her apartment hunt. Expected duration, 45 minutes. Location, Cornerstone Cafe on 5th Street. Will likely order my usual Americano. She'll probably get a latte with extra foam because she always does. Tuesday, 12:30 p.m., lunch with Devin and 2 other coworkers at the sandwich place on 3rd Avenue. Splitting a large order of fries. Expected duration, 1 hour. Attendees: Devin, Tom from payroll, Priya from accounts receivable. Estimated cost, $12.15 including tip. Wednesday, 6 p.m., video call with my friend Bex, who moved to Oregon last month. Catching up on her new job at the environmental nonprofit. Expected duration, 30 minutes to 1 hour. Will be calling from my apartment, probably from the couch. Thursday, 5:30 p.m., office happy hour at Bernie's. Approximately 12 people attending, including 5 women. Devin, Priya, Lisa from HR, Amanda from marketing, and Michelle from IT. Will likely stay for 1 to 2 hours. Will order beer, probably the IPA they have on tap. Mira seemed satisfied at first. She'd check the calendar each morning over coffee, sometimes asking follow-up questions. "How was coffee with your sister? Did you help her find any good apartments? What neighborhood is she looking in? Did Devin mention anything about me at lunch? What did Priya say? Did anyone ask about me?" The questions seemed normal enough, but then I noticed she was checking the calendar multiple times throughout the day. I'd see the notification that she'd opened the shared calendar at 10 a.m., then again at 2 p.m., then at 4 p.m., then at 7 p.m., like she was waiting for something to change, for a secret meeting to materialize, for proof of what she already suspected. That's when I started sending real-time updates, having lunch with Devin and 2 other coworkers. We're at the sandwich place. It's crowded today, so we had to wait about 10 minutes for a table. Devin just told a funny story about her cat, who knocked over an entire bookshelf trying to catch a fly. Apparently, the cat's name is Professor Whiskers, and he has a PhD in chaos. Everyone laughed. I ordered the turkey sandwich with extra pickles. No mayo because you know I hate mayo. Update: Tom just complained about his landlord raising his rent again. Priya mentioned her daughter's soccer game this weekend. Devin mentioned her boyfriend wants to visit Japan next spring. She asked if I had any recommendations since you and I went last year. I told her about the ryokan in Kyoto you loved, the one with the private onsen. Remember how you said it was the most peaceful place you'd ever been? I showed her a photo from our trip. Everyone said we looked happy together. Update: lunch ended at 1:15 p.m., 5 minutes earlier than expected. Devin paid for her own meal with a credit card. Tom paid for his with cash. Priya paid for hers with a credit card and left a generous tip because our server was really attentive. I paid for mine with my debit card. Total came to $12.47 including tip. We all walked back to the office together in a group. No physical contact occurred during this outing. The weather was nice, so we took the long way around the park. After a week of this, Mira asked if the updates were really necessary. "You wanted transparency," I said. "I'm being transparent." She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. I could see her wrestling with something internally. She wanted to tell me to stop, but she couldn't without admitting that maybe her initial request was unreasonable, that maybe she'd asked for something she didn't actually want. I created a group chat the next day, added Mira to every single conversation I had with female friends. She saw Devin asking about spreadsheet formulas at 9 a.m. "Hey, quick question about the Henderson account. Which column should I use for Q4 projections? The template changed, and I want to make sure I'm entering everything correctly." She saw my sister sending memes at 11 p.m. "This is literally you, when you try to cook anything more complicated than toast. accompanied by a video of someone setting off a smoke detector while attempting to make scrambled eggs. Remember when you tried to make that fancy dinner for my birthday and the fire department showed up? Good times. She saw my friend Bex discussing her new hiking boots and whether the waterproofing was worth the extra $40. I know it seems excessive, but I hiked in wet socks once and almost lost a toenail to infection. The whole nail turned black and eventually fell off. Super gross. So yeah, waterproofing is worth it. Also, do you remember that trail we hiked in college? The one with the waterfall? I'm thinking about going back next month if you and Mira want to visit. This is too much, Mira said after 3 days of constant notifications pinging her phone every hour. I'm just doing what you asked, I replied. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I started wearing a body cam to work. One of those small ones that clips to your shirt collar. The kind security guards and police officers wear. I found it on one of those websites that sells surveillance equipment. Cost me $89.99 plus shipping. I sent Mira edited highlight reels of every interaction with women throughout my day. 8:47 a.m. Entered coffee shop. Barista on duty is female, approximately 25 years old. She handed me my coffee. She said, "Have a nice day," in a friendly but professional tone. I said, "You too." Made brief eye contact, smiled politely. Transaction lasted 23 seconds. Left a $2 tip in the jar. Exited coffee shop at 8:48 a.m. 10:23 a.m. Mail carrier arrived at office. Female, approximately 40 years old. Dropped off package addressed to Lisa in HR. Brief exchange about the weather getting colder. She mentioned her daughter is excited for snow because school might get canceled. I said that's nice and asked how old her daughter is. She said 9. I said that's a fun age. Conversation lasted 41 seconds. She left to continue her route. 12:15 p.m. Waited for elevator in office building lobby. Woman entered elevator after me, approximately 30 years old, carrying 3 boxes from supply room. Boxes looked heavy. She was struggling with the load. I was already inside the elevator. She tried to press the hold button but couldn't reach. I pressed the hold button for her. She thanked me. I said no problem. She pressed button for 3rd floor. I had already pressed button for 7th floor. She smiled and got off on the 3rd floor. Did not exchange names. Will likely never see her again. Interaction lasted 18 seconds. 3:40 p.m. Devin stopped by my desk to ask about the Henderson account. She stood approximately 2.5 feet from my desk at all times, on the opposite side of the desk. Conversation lasted 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Topics discussed: quarterly projections, filing deadlines, whether Tom remembered to submit his expense reports because he's notoriously forgetful. Devin wore a blue sweater and black pants. Made eye contact during 60% of conversation, which is normal for professional workplace interaction. Looked at computer screen during 30% of conversation when referencing specific data. Looked at papers on desk during 10% of conversation. Laughed once when I made a joke about Tom's terrible handwriting. Returned to her desk at 3:44 p.m. You're being ridiculous, Mira snapped one evening, her phone buzzing with another timestamp notification while we were trying to watch a movie. I'm being transparent, I corrected. Isn't this what you wanted? Complete transparency? The thing was, I wasn't trying to be petty at first. I genuinely thought this is what she meant. Complete transparency meant documenting everything, right? But as the days went on and I watched her frustration build, something shifted in me. A small angry part of my brain woke up and said, if she wants to see every mundane interaction, every boring conversation, every moment that proves you're not doing anything wrong, then give her exactly that. Make her drown in transparency. Make her see how absurd this request actually is. I started documenting more. I created spreadsheets in Excel with multiple tabs and color-coded cells. Devin interactions per week, 3.2 average over the past 6 months. Topics discussed: work 87%, casual conversation 13%, personal life 0%, physical contact 0 instances, tone of voice, professional 92%, friendly 8%, flirtatious 0%, average conversation length 4.7 minutes, longest conversation 12 minutes discussing quarterly budget allocations, shortest conversation 47 seconds asking if I'd seen Tom because he was late to a meeting. I made pie charts showing time allocation, time spent with female friends versus male friends versus alone versus with Mira. The Mira slice was the largest by far, taking up 43% of my waking hours. Female friends took up 4%, male friends 8%, work 25%, alone time 15%. Sleep not counted but would be 5% if I included the hours I was technically awake. I printed this out and put it on the refrigerator. I color-coded everything. I created line graphs showing the frequency of communication over time. I tracked response times to messages. Devin's average response time, 2.3 hours. My sister's average response time, 45 minutes. Bex's average response time, 6.7 hours because of the time zone difference and her work schedule. Mira's average response time, 8 minutes, which I noted showed I prioritized her above everyone else. I'm not asking for charts, Mira said, staring at the color-coded breakdown I'd emailed her at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You asked for transparency, I said. Data is transparent. Numbers don't lie. This is objective proof that I'm not doing anything wrong. This is quantifiable evidence of my faithfulness. Her face did something complicated. Like she wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. like she knew I was making a point but didn't want to acknowledge it. 2 weeks into my transparency project, I suggested Mira join my monthly happy hour with Devin and the accounting team. It would be easier than explaining everything secondhand. She could see for herself how boring and platonic these interactions were. She could witness the reality of me and Devin talking about expense reports and quarterly projections and whether the new coffee machine in the break room was worth the upgrade cost of $847. Mira reluctantly agreed. The happy hour was at Bernie's, a dive bar near our office that served cheap beer and cheaper wings. The kind of place with peanut shells on the floor and sports memorabilia covering every inch of wall space. There was a pool table in the corner that no one ever used because it was slightly tilted and the felt was torn. When we arrived at 6:15 p.m., Devin was already there with 3 other co-workers. Tom from payroll, Priya from accounts receivable, and Marcus from inventory management. "Mira, this is everyone," I said, making introductions around the table. "Everyone, this is Mira." Devin greeted Mira warmly, standing up to shake her hand with genuine enthusiasm. "I've heard so much about you," she said. "He talks about you constantly. Your trip to Japan, your graphic design work, that time you tried to make homemade pasta and it turned into what you called a flower crime scene. It's actually kind of annoying how much he brings you up. Like, we get it. You have a girlfriend." The group laughed. Tom nodded enthusiastically. "It's true. We know more about you than we want to. Last week he spent 20 minutes showing us photos of the birthday card you made him. It was very sweet, but also we were trying to close out monthly reports." Mira managed a tight smile. "The kind that doesn't reach the eyes. The kind that means she's processing information and deciding whether to be pleased or suspicious." We settled into a worn leather booth that had definitely seen better days. The stuffing was coming out of one corner and someone had carved their initials into the table. Conversation flowed easily around us. Tom complained about the new expense reporting system that required 17 different fields for a single dinner receipt and how he'd spent 3 hours last week trying to figure out what category a working lunch should be filed under. Priya talked about her daughter's soccer tournament and how she'd scored the winning goal in the semifinals with only 30 seconds left in the game. Marcus showed everyone photos of his recently adopted dog, a 3-legged pitty mix named Pancake who'd learned to balance perfectly despite his missing leg and had a habit of stealing socks from the laundry basket. Devin sat across from me, next to Mira. She was friendly and engaging, asking Mira about her job as a graphic designer, what kind of projects she worked on, whether she preferred digital or print work, if she'd always wanted to be a designer or if she'd stumbled into it. She complimented Mira's jacket, a vintage leather piece Mira had found at a thrift store for $35 and was incredibly proud of. She offered to share the fully loaded nachos she'd ordered, pushing the plate toward the center of the table and insisting everyone try some, because they came with this amazing jalapeno cream sauce. After about 30 minutes, I started to relax. See? This is what I'd been trying to tell Mira. These were normal people having normal conversations. There was nothing threatening here. Devin talked about work deadlines and her boyfriend's obsession with building model trains in their spare bedroom. She asked Mira about her design portfolio and seemed genuinely interested when Mira described her recent rebranding project for a local bookstore. She was kind and inclusive and completely non-threatening. That's when Devin's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it and her expression shifted. The easy smile faltered. Something flickered across her face that I couldn't quite read. Confusion, maybe. Or recognition. Or concern. Her eyebrows drew together. She looked up at Mira, then at me, then back at her phone. She said slowly. "This is weird." "What's weird?" I asked, taking a sip of my beer. Devin turned her phone face down on the table, but not before I caught a glimpse of what looked like a message notification. Multiple message notifications, actually. The preview showed at least 3 or 4 lines of text. Her fingers drummed against the table nervously, a habit I'd noticed she had when she was stressed about something. Mira's face had gone completely still, the kind of still that meant she was either about to explode or disappear entirely. I'd seen that expression before, usually right before a massive argument about something I didn't realize I'd done wrong. Devin looked between us, her brow furrowed. "Did you tell her yet?" My stomach dropped like I'd just gone over the first hill of a roller coaster. "Tell her what?" Devin's confusion deepened. She tilted her head slightly. "About the thing. You know, the thing." The table had gone quiet. Tom and Priya exchanged glances that said they were definitely not getting involved in whatever this was. Marcus suddenly became very interested in his beer, studying the label like it contained the secrets of the universe, and he needed to memorize every word. Mira's chair scraped loudly against the floor as she stood up abruptly. "What thing? What is she talking about?" Devin's phone buzzed again, then again, and again. A rapid series of notifications that made the phone vibrate across the table. She picked it up and her eyes widened as she read whatever was on the screen. Her face went pale. She looked genuinely shocked. "Oh," she said quietly. "He doesn't know." "Doesn't know what?" I demanded, my heart starting to race. "What are you talking about? What's going on?" Devin stood up slowly, her face pale. She looked at me with something like pity. "Maybe we should talk privately." "No," Mira said, her voice sharp and dangerous. "Tell us right now. Whatever it is, say it." Devin hesitated, looking genuinely distressed. She bit her lip, looked at me with those eyes that said she really didn't want to do this but felt like she had to. Then she pulled out her phone and turned it toward us so we could both see the screen. On the screen was a screenshot of an Instagram conversation. The account name at the top made my blood run cold. Mira's private account. The one she used for close friends only. The one I wasn't even on because she said it was just for her college friends and cousins. The one she'd told me she barely used, just occasionally checking in when someone posted something important. But apparently, she used it enough to send multiple messages to Devin. The first message was from 3 weeks ago, right around the time Mira had first asked me about transparency. Hey, I'm dating your coworker, the guy you get drinks with. I need to know if anything is going on between you two. Be honest. Devin had responded within an hour. Who is this? How did you get my information? This account is private. Mira, I'm his girlfriend. I saw your photos together. Are you sleeping with him? Just tell me the truth. Devin. What? No, we're just coworkers. Seriously, who gave you my private account? Did he give it to you? Mira. I found it myself. I need to know the truth. Please just tell me the truth. I can tell something is going on. Devin. The truth is we work together. That's it. This is inappropriate. I'm going to block you. The messages continued, and Devin scrolled down so he could see more. Mira had sent dozens of them over the past 3 weeks, each one more accusatory than the last, asking about specific nights, demanding to know what they talked about at happy hours, insisting that Devin was lying, that there had to be something more, that she could tell from the photos that something was going on between us. I can see the way he looks at you in the photos. Don't lie to me. What do you two talk about when you're alone? Does he mention me? What does he say about me? I know you're hiding something. Just admit it. Devin had mostly stopped responding after the first few exchanges, but Mira kept sending messages, long paragraphs about betrayal and women's intuition, and how she could just feel something was wrong. Questions about Devin's relationship status and whether her boyfriend knew about me. Demands to know if Devin had feelings for me. Accusations that Devin was trying to steal me away, that she was one of those women who got off on taking someone else's boyfriend. The most recent message had been sent just 7 minutes ago, right after we'd arrived at Bernie's. I'm at Bernie's with him right now. If you touch him or flirt with him, I swear I'll make your life hell. I'm watching you. Don't think I won't do something. I stared at the phone, then at Mira. My voice came out flat and cold. You've been harassing my coworker. Mira's face flushed red, her cheeks blazing. I wasn't harassing her. I was trying to find out the truth. The truth? I gestured at Devin, who looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. The truth is we're coworkers. The truth is I told you that from the beginning. The truth is you didn't believe me, so instead of talking to me like an adult, you stalked and threatened someone I work with. Devin looked miserable. She wrapped her arms around herself. I didn't want to cause problems, When I saw her sitting here, I thought maybe you told her about the messages and you were trying to work it out together. I thought maybe this was some kind of confrontation or reconciliation thing. But then I realized from your face that you had no idea any of this was happening. I'm sorry. I thought you should know. Priya cleared her throat. This happened to my friend once. Her boyfriend's girlfriend went full psycho, sent messages to every woman he knew, even contacted his female doctor, asking if they'd ever been intimate during appointments, had to get a restraining order eventually. It started just like this. Mira whirled on her, eyes blazing. I'm not psycho. Don't call me that. I just wanted transparency. I just wanted to know the truth. No, I said, my voice harder than I'd ever heard it. You wanted control. There's a difference. A big difference. The pieces were clicking into place now. The sudden request for transparency hadn't been about trust or communication or healthy relationship practices. It had been about catching me in something that wasn't there. She'd already decided I was guilty and was just looking for proof. Every calendar entry, every text message, every body cam video was just me giving her more material to analyze, more things to find suspicious, more evidence that could be twisted into whatever narrative she'd already created in her head. How many other people did you message? I asked Mira, my voice deadly calm. She crossed her arms defensively. That's not the point. That's not what we're talking about right now. How many? Her silence was answer enough. It wasn't just Devin. I turned to Devin. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was doing this. If you want to report this to HR, I'll back you up completely. This is harassment. This is serious. Devin shook her head. I just want it to stop. That's all I want. It will, I said, still looking at Devin but speaking directly to Mira. Because we're done. This relationship is over. As of right now. Mira's eyes went wide with shock. You're breaking up with me? Over this? Over this? I turned to face her fully. You harassed my coworker for 3 weeks. You stalked multiple women in my life. You demanded I surveil myself like a prisoner. You turned a normal relationship into a police investigation where I was already convicted and just waiting for sentencing. Yeah, Mira, over this. I was being transparent, she said, her voice rising. I was doing what you should have done. You're the one who was hiding things. You're the one who made me feel like I couldn't trust you. I wasn't hiding anything, I said. You were looking for something that didn't exist, and when you couldn't find it, you made it up in your head and decided that was reality. That's not my fault. That's yours. I stood up, grabbed my jacket from the back of the booth. The rest of the table sat in awkward silence. Marcus was still examining his beer label like it was the most fascinating thing he'd ever seen. Tom finally spoke up, breaking the tension. For what it's worth, man, we've all worked with you for 3 years. You talk about her constantly. Show us pictures of places you've been together. That restaurant in the mountains with the view of the lake, the art gallery with the weird sculptures that looked like melted people. You showed us the birthday card you made her last month with all those inside jokes we didn't understand. Boring stuff, honestly. We all thought you were annoyingly in love. Like, tone it down kind of in love. Priya nodded enthusiastically. When you first started with the transparency calendar, I thought that was sweet. Healthy communication and all that. My therapist is always saying couples should be more open with each other. But this, she gestured at Devin's phone, this is something else entirely. This is paranoia. This is controlling behavior. Marcus finally looked up from his beer. My ex did something similar. Started tracking my location without telling me. Called all my female friends pretending to be doing a survey. Accused me of cheating with my own cousin at a family reunion. It only gets worse, man. Trust me. It never gets better. They just find new ways to check up on you. Mira looked around the table, realizing she had no allies here. Her face crumpled. Tears started forming in her eyes. I just loved you so much. I was scared of losing you. Don't you understand? I've been cheated on before. I was just trying to protect myself. So you pushed me away instead, I said. Great strategy. Really worked out well for you. I pulled out my wallet and left cash for my beer and wings. Devin, again, I'm really sorry about all of this. If she contacts you again, please let me know immediately. I mean it. Devin nodded, looking relieved. Thanks for understanding, and for believing me. I walked out of Bernie's into the cold evening air. The temperature had dropped and I could see my breath. My phone started buzzing immediately. Mira calling. I declined. She called again. Declined. Then the texts started pouring in, one after another, making my phone vibrate continuously in my pocket. I'm sorry. Please come back. We can talk about this. I'll stop. I promise I'll stop messaging people. You're overreacting. I just wanted to make sure. You don't understand what it's like to be scared all the time. Please answer. I love you. Don't throw this away. Don't throw us away. You're being dramatic. It's not that serious. Everyone checks up on their partners. Please. I can change. I'll get therapy. Just give me another chance. I blocked her number after the 15th message. Over the next few days, I learned the full extent of what she'd done. She'd messaged my sister asking if I'd ever made inappropriate comments about women, if I had a history of cheating, if I'd ever seemed interested in anyone besides Mira. She'd contacted my friend Bex, pretending to be an old friend from high school named Jennifer, trying to get information about whether I'd cheated in past relationships and what my reputation was like in college. She'd even messaged the woman who ran the coffee shop I went to every morning, asking if I ever came in with other women, what I ordered for them, if I seemed romantic with anyone. My sister called me 2 days later, absolutely furious. Some girl messaged me asking if you'd ever made a move on me. Your own sister. That's disgusting. That's sick. When I told her we were related, she asked if I was sure you weren't adopted or if we were step relations. Like she was hoping we weren't actually related so her suspicions would be justified. What the hell is wrong with her? I know, I said, exhausted. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was doing any of this. I just found out at the happy hour. My sister's voice softened. You okay? Like, really okay? Because that's some serious psycho behavior. Yeah, I said. I think I am. Honestly, I feel relieved more than anything. Like I dodged a bullet. Beck sent me screenshots of the messages Mira had sent her, pretending to be someone named Jennifer from my hometown, asking about my dating history, whether I'd ever been unfaithful, if I had a reputation for being a player, if I'd ever had multiple girlfriends at once. Bex had seen through it immediately, because I'd never mentioned anyone named Jennifer and blocked the account, but had assumed it was just some random scammer or catfish. She hadn't realized it was my girlfriend conducting reconnaissance. The woman from the coffee shop, whose name was Rita, mentioned it the next time I came in. Your girlfriend asked me some very strange questions last month. Whether you came in with other women, what you ordered for them, if you seemed romantic with anyone, if you ever held hands with anyone or kissed anyone goodbye. I told her you always came in alone and always ordered the same thing. Black coffee and a blueberry muffin every single morning like clockwork. She seemed disappointed by that answer, like she wanted me to tell her something else. I apologized to everyone, explained what had happened, told them the relationship was over. Most people were understanding. Some were concerned about me. Tom from work pulled me aside in the break room and told me his sister had been in a relationship like that once, where her boyfriend's jealousy had escalated from questions to accusations, to isolating her from friends, to eventually physical violence. He gave me the number for a therapist who specialized in relationship trauma and unhealthy relationship patterns. I didn't think I needed a therapist. I was fine. I'd ended things quickly. I'd gotten out. But after the third night of lying awake at 2 a.m., wondering what I'd done wrong, what red flags I'd missed, whether I'd somehow caused this by not being reassuring enough, I called the number. The therapist's name was Dr. Patterson. She was in her 50s with kind eyes and an office full of plants. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she set down her pen and said something that stuck with me. Trust isn't something you earn by proving your innocence. It's something you're given until you prove otherwise. She was asking you to prove a negative, to prove that something wasn't happening. That's impossible. You can't prove something doesn't exist. You can't prove you're not cheating. You can only provide evidence that you are being faithful. And to someone who's already decided you're guilty, no amount of evidence will ever be enough. She would have kept looking forever because she'd already decided what she'd find. That helped. Understanding that no amount of transparency would have ever been enough because the problem wasn't me. It was her inability to trust. It was her past trauma that she hadn't dealt with. It was her insecurity that she was projecting onto me. But you enabled it, Dr. Patterson continued, by going along with her demands for surveillance, by creating those calendars and spreadsheets and wearing a body cam. You taught her that her requests were reasonable. I know, I said. I thought if I just proved I had nothing to hide, she'd relax. But that's not how it works, she said gently, because you can't logic someone out of a position they didn't logic themselves into. Her fears weren't rational. They were emotional. And emotions don't respond to data. I saw Dr. Patterson for 6 weeks, talked about boundaries, about recognizing red flags, about the difference between healthy transparency and surveillance, about how I'd been so focused on proving my innocence that I hadn't stopped to ask whether I should have to prove it in the first place. 3 months later, I ran into Mira at a coffee shop. Not Rita's place, thankfully. This was across town, a new place I'd been trying out because they had these amazing cinnamon rolls. She was with someone new, a guy who looked vaguely uncomfortable as she scrolled through his phone while they waited for their drinks. I watched her zoom in on something, her mouth tightening into that familiar line, watched him try to explain whatever she'd found, watched her shake her head, not believing him, pointing at something on the screen. Some people never learn. I grabbed my coffee and left before she could see me, feeling grateful that I'd learned my lesson, grateful that I'd gotten out when I did, grateful that her paranoia had revealed itself before we'd moved in together, before we'd signed a lease, before we'd gotten more entangled, before leaving became even harder. I still see Devin at monthly happy hours. We still talk about spreadsheets and quarterly reports and whether the new expense system is worse than the old one. Tom still forgets to submit his expense reports on time. Priya's daughter made the regional soccer team. Marcus's 3-legged dog Pancake learned a new trick where he spins in a circle before sitting down. Sometimes my sister joins us when she's in town visiting from Portland. Sometimes my friend Bex visits from Oregon and comes along. Nobody demands receipts. Nobody asks for timestamps. Nobody needs proof of where I've been or who I've talked to or whether my interactions were appropriate. Because that's what healthy relationships look like. That's what trust looks like. And that's what I should have had all along. The irony isn't lost on me. I gave Mira exactly what she asked for. Complete transparency. Total openness. Every detail of every interaction documented and shared. And in doing so, I proved that transparency without trust is just surveillance. That being watched constantly doesn't create security. It creates suspicion. It creates resentment. It creates a prison where the walls are made of data and documentation. Real transparency is about being honest when it matters, telling your partner when you're struggling, admitting when you're wrong, being open about your fears and insecurities, having difficult conversations, sharing your actual feelings instead of hiding behind demands for proof. It's not about documenting every conversation or tracking every movement or proving you're innocent of crimes you never committed. Last week I went on a first date. Her name is Rachel. We met at a bookstore where we both reached for the same novel at the same time. One of those meet-cute moments that seems fake but actually happened. Talked about our favorite authors. Discovered we both loved the same obscure sci-fi series from the 90s. She's a teacher, loves hiking, has a ridiculous cat named Chairman Meow, who apparently rules her apartment with an iron paw. Halfway through dinner, she mentioned she was close friends with several of her male colleagues. They got drinks sometimes after work on Fridays, had an ongoing group chat about terrible education policy decisions and administrative incompetence. One of them was going through a divorce and she'd been helping him find an apartment. That's cool, I said, genuinely meaning it. What do you guys usually talk about? She looked at me carefully like she was testing something. Mostly work stuff. Education policy. Terrible administrative decisions. Sometimes personal stuff. One of them is going through a messy divorce. Another just had a baby and keeps sending us photos even though we've all seen approximately 9,000 pictures of the same baby doing the same things. Sounds like good friends, I said. It's important to have people you can vent to about work. Her whole body relaxed. You could see the tension leave her shoulders. My ex used to interrogate me about them. Accused me of cheating constantly. Made me feel guilty for having friends. Started showing up at the bar where we'd meet. Would time how long I was gone and demand to know why I was 3 minutes late getting home. I told her about Mira. About the calendar and the body cam and the spreadsheets. About finding out she'd been harassing my coworkers for weeks. About the messages to my sister and my friends and even the coffee shop owner. Rachel laughed, but it was a sad laugh. The kind that says this is funny because it's too painful to cry about. Why are some people like that? I don't know, I said. Fear, maybe. Past trauma. Insecurity. Inability to process their own emotions in healthy ways. Whatever it is, it's not our job to fix it. It's not our responsibility to prove ourselves innocent over and over again. She raised her wine glass. To healthy boundaries and friendships that don't require documentation. I clinked my glass against hers. To trust. We're taking it slow. No shared calendars, no location tracking, no demands for proof or evidence or constant updates. She doesn't ask me to account for every minute of my day, I don't demand to know who she's texting when her phone buzzes, just two people getting to know each other. Building trust naturally, the way it's supposed to be built, through consistency, through honesty, through showing up and being present and treating each other with respect. And for the first time in months, I can breathe again. I deleted all the spreadsheets last week. Took me an hour to find them all because I'd created so many different versions. Uninstalled the Bodycam app. Archived the shared calendar with all its color-coded entries. Removed myself from the group chats I'd created specifically for surveillance purposes. My sister called when she noticed I'd left one of the group chats. Everything okay? Everything's good, I said. Just cleaning up some old stuff. Moving forward. Good, she said. You seem lighter lately. Like you're actually happy instead of just pretending to be happy. She was right. I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying around this weight I didn't even realize was there until I finally put it down. The weight of constant vigilance. The weight of having to prove myself innocent every single day. The weight of knowing that nothing I did would ever be enough. Devin stopped by my desk yesterday afternoon. Dropped off some papers for the Henderson account. How are things with Rachel? She asked. Good, I said. Really good. We went hiking last weekend. She's coming to the happy hour next week if that's cool. Of course, Devin said. She paused. You seem different? In a good way. I feel different, I admitted. I didn't realize how exhausting it was, constantly having to prove myself, constantly being under surveillance. Devin nodded. My boyfriend used to be like that. Not as extreme as Mira, but similar. Always checking my phone, always asking where I'd been. After a while, I started to believe maybe I was doing something wrong. Maybe I deserved to be questioned. It wasn't until after we broke up that I realized how toxic it was. How long were you with him? 3 years, she said. 3 years of walking on eggshells. 3 years of over-explaining everything. 3 years of feeling guilty for things I didn't do. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be, she said. It taught me what I won't accept. And honestly, watching what happened with you and Mira reminded me why I left. Reminded me that jealousy and control dressed up as care is still just jealousy and control. She left and I sat there thinking about that. About how Mira had framed everything as love, as care, as just wanting to be close, as needing transparency in a healthy relationship. When really, it was about control, about suspicion, about her inability to trust disguised as my failure to be trustworthy. Trust isn't about transparency. It's about believing someone when they tell you the truth. If you don't have that foundation, no amount of tracking or surveillance or proof will ever be enough. You'll always find something to question, always see shadows where there's only light, always find new reasons to doubt. Real love doesn't require a body cam. It doesn't need constant updates and location sharing and documented proof of innocence. Real love trusts you when you say you're just grabbing drinks with a coworker. Real love doesn't turn transparency into surveillance. And real love definitely doesn't harass your accounting team. I ran into Tom last week at the grocery store. He was in the frozen food section, staring at the ice cream selection like it held the answers to life's great mysteries. You doing okay? I asked. Yeah, he said. Just trying to decide between cookie dough and mint chip. He paused. How are you doing? After everything? Good, I said. Better than I've been in a while, actually. Good, he said. You deserve better than that situation. We all knew something was off. The way she'd look at you when you were talking to Devin, like she was cataloging everything for later. You notice that? Hard not to, he said. She had this intensity, this way of watching, made everyone uncomfortable. I wish someone had said something, I said. Would you have listened? He asked gently. You were pretty deep in it. Sometimes people have to figure these things out on their own. He was right. If someone had told me Mira was being unreasonable back then, I probably would have defended her, made excuses, said she was just being cautious, that she had reasons to be protective, that I didn't mind because I had nothing to hide. That's the thing about toxic relationships. You don't see it when you're in it. You normalize the behavior, make excuses, convince yourself that this is just how love works, that everyone deals with this, that maybe you're the problem and if you just try harder, prove yourself more thoroughly, everything will be fine. Tom grabbed the mint chip. Want to grab a beer sometime? He asked. Just to hang out. No spreadsheets required. I laughed. Yeah, that sounds good. Rachel and I have been dating for 2 months now. Last week, she invited me to meet her friends, the male colleagues she'd mentioned on our first date. We met at a bar downtown, the kind with craft cocktails and exposed brick walls. This is everyone, Rachel said. Everyone. This is the guy I've been telling you about. The one with the psycho ex, one of them asked, then immediately looked embarrassed. Sorry, that was rude. No, it's fine, I said. That's probably the most accurate description. They were normal people. Teachers who cared about their students and complained about standardized testing. One of them, the one going through the divorce, talked about his kids and how hard it was splitting custody. Another showed everyone photos of his new baby. Rachel teased them all affectionately, the way you do with people you've known for years. And not once did I feel jealous. Not once did I wonder if there was something more. Not once did I feel the need to document the evening or time how long we stayed or analyze the tone of anyone's voice, because that's what healthy looks like. On the way home, Rachel asked if I was okay. Yeah, I said. Why? You got quiet there for a bit, she said. Was it weird meeting them? No, I said. I was just thinking about how different this feels. How easy. She squeezed my hand. It should be easy. The relationship part should be easy. Life is hard enough without making love complicated. I thought about that all night. About how I'd spent 8 months with Mira making everything so complicated, creating systems and documentation and proof, turning love into a legal case where I was perpetually on trial. With Rachel, there's no trial, no evidence, no surveillance, just two people who trust each other, who believe each other, who don't need receipts or timestamps or video footage. Last month, I got a message from an unknown number. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. It was Mira. I know you blocked me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm in therapy now. My therapist says I have anxious attachment and trust issues from childhood trauma. I know that doesn't excuse what I did. I just wanted you to know I'm working on it. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be happy. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to say something, to acknowledge her apology. But Dr. Patterson had told me, you don't owe your abuser closure, even if they apologize, even if they're getting help. Your healing doesn't require their participation. So I deleted the message and blocked the new number, because some things are better left in the past. Rachel came over last night. We cooked dinner together, one of those complicated recipes that requires timing 6 different components. We laughed when I nearly burned the sauce. She taught Chairman Meow a new trick. We watched a movie on the couch, her head on my shoulder. At one point, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled, and set it back down. I didn't ask who it was, didn't wonder, didn't need to know, because that's what trust looks like. This morning, I deleted my entire transparency folder. Years of documentation, calendars and spreadsheets and graphs, videos and screenshots and time-stamped updates, all of it. My sister called as I was emptying the digital trash. What are you doing today? She asked. Just clearing out some old files, I said. Good, she said. Hey, remember when you used to send me those ridiculous updates about every conversation you had? Currently talking to the mail carrier about weather patterns. Duration, 37 seconds. That was insane. Yeah, I said. That was insane. But kind of funny looking back, she said. Like, the lengths you went to, the commitment to the bit. It wasn't a bit at first, I admitted. I genuinely thought that's what she wanted. I know, my sister said. That's what made it so sad. You were trying so hard to prove something that should never have needed proving. We talked for another 20 minutes, about her new apartment, about Rachel, about how sometimes the wrong relationships teach us exactly what we need to learn. After we hung up, I finished deleting everything. Every spreadsheet, every graph, every video, every calendar entry, all of it gone. And I felt lighter than I had in years. Devin sent me a message this afternoon. Happy hour next week? The usual crew plus Rachel if she wants to come. I replied, definitely. No body cam this time though. She sent back a laughing emoji. Thank God. That thing was creepy. Tom chimed in. Wait, we're not getting spreadsheets anymore? How will I know the exact duration of our conversations? Priya. Or pie charts of topic distribution? Marcus. I was really looking forward to the quarterly report on our friendship metrics. I laughed at my desk. These people had watched me go through something bizarre and uncomfortable, and instead of judging me, they'd supported me. They'd shown up when I needed them. They'd told me the truth even when it was awkward. That's what real friends do. That's what real relationships look like. Rachel texted me. Dinner tomorrow? I'm trying a new recipe. Fair warning, it might be terrible. I replied, can't wait. I'll bring wine. She sent back, no spreadsheet of expected arrival time? No body cam footage of you selecting the wine? I replied, nope, just me, some wine, and the willingness to eat whatever you create. She sent, perfect, see you at 7. No exact timestamp, no location details, no attendee list, no expected duration, just trust, just two people who like each other, spending time together, building something real. This weekend, I'm going hiking with Rachel and some of her friends, men and women, teachers and former students, and random people she's met along the way. I don't know all their names yet, don't know all their stories, don't need to document every interaction or track every conversation. I'll just show up, be present, enjoy the day. And when I get home, nobody will demand a full report. Nobody will question who I talked to or how long or whether anyone got too close. Because that's not what love does. Love doesn't surveil. It trusts. Love doesn't interrogate. It listens. Love doesn't demand proof. It believes. I thought about Mira this morning. Wondered if her therapy is helping. Wondered if she's learning to trust. Wondered if her new boyfriend knows what he's in for. Or if she's different now. Changed. Healed. Then I stopped wondering. Because it's not my concern anymore. Not my problem. Not my responsibility. She's on her own journey. I'm on mine. And my journey has led me here. To a place where I don't need spreadsheets or surveillance. Where I don't need to prove my innocence every single day. Where I can just exist without constant documentation. To a place where trust isn't earned through transparency, but given freely until proven otherwise. To a place where love feels easy instead of exhausting. To a place where I can finally breathe. Dr. Patterson told me in our last session, you learned something valuable from this. You learned what you won't accept. what you won't tolerate, what healthy looks like. She was right. I learned that transparency without trust is just surveillance dressed up in relationship language. I learned that no amount of proof will convince someone who's already decided you're guilty. I learned that real love doesn't require a body cam or a spreadsheet or constant updates. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is walk away. And I learned that on the other side of that walking away is something better, something easier, something real. My girlfriend asked me to be transparent about my female friends, so I became completely transparent. And in doing so, I proved that some requests are impossible to fulfill. Not because I wasn't willing, but because the request itself was flawed from the start. You can't transparency your way out of someone else's insecurity. You can't data analyze your way into someone's trust. You can't prove a negative, and you shouldn't have to try. Real love doesn't demand proof. It offers belief, and that's what I have now, finally.